Greetings and salutations! This is the EzeeLinux Show, version 18.15, recorded April the 1st, Easter Sunday, 2018. Happy Easter. I'm Joe Collins. In this video, I'm going to show you a really cool application called Midnight Commander. About a week ago, somebody dropped me a note somewhere and said, hey, you really ought to do a video about Midnight Commander. And I said, not only do I need to do a video about Midnight Commander, I need to install it and start using it. This is a program that I have known about for a very long time. It goes back to 1994. It's part of the GNU project. And it's sort of a clone of the old Norton Commander, which was available on DOS back in the 80s. So it's been around for a very long time. But unlike Norton Commander, it has grown and evolved through the years. And now it is like this giant program that does all this crazy stuff. A lot of GNU programs are like that. Anybody who's ever played with Emacs knows what I'm talking about. Now, GNU is a project that it makes Linux work. A lot of people out there say that you really ought to call it GNU/Linux. What is GNU? It's short for GNU's Not Unix. It was the original Richard Stallman idea for a free and open source operating system. And then the Linux kernel came along and people started calling it Linux, and this gave Richard Stallman a really bad case of the red ass, and now people go around saying, you really ought to call it GNU/Linux. I know, everybody calls it Linux. I'm sorry, guys. It's just kind of the way it is. Anyway, I get on a tangent there. So let's go back to talking about Midnight Commander. How do you get a hold of it? Well, the command is MC, and that's also the name of the package. So just go looking for Midnight Commander in your software application that comes with your distribution, software manager in Linux Mint, software in Ubuntu, app store, shop, whatever the hell they call it today. Just any one of them, just pick it. It should be in there. If not, you don't want to deal with that kind of stuff, then in any Debian Ubuntu-based distribution, install or apt install MC will get you what you need. I wanted to make sure I said that correctly. So let's go ahead and run it and take a look at what it looks like. Now, this is the stock setup when you get it. This is what it looks like. And you can leave it like this if you want to, but I do make a couple of changes. So the first thing I'm going to do is change it. I just wanted you to see what it looks like when you first run it. The first thing that I'm going to do is I would like to change something about the layout, and that is this hint bar down here. Now, there are a lot of features in here, so you probably might want to leave that on for a while so you can glean some useful information from the hint bar, but for me, it's just kind of a waste of space at this point. And then we have, let's go to Appearance, and I want to change this, make it a little darker. So I'm going to choose that one right there. You can go through all of those different presets that come with it and choose one that tickles your fancy, whatever goes along with the way you like things to look. I like things to be a little darker than that. So what have we got here? Well, we've got a menu across the top, and then we've got a window with two panes in it, and we've got a file list on either side with all kinds of groovy information. And then down here, we have a command prompt, and then we have more menu down here. These are your this is your function keys down here. So here's F1 through F10. Now, a lot of terminals that run in a GUI on your desktop, they will have, for instance, F1 mapped elsewhere to open up the help. So if I hit F1, then I get the F1 that comes with the terminal in Linux Mint. I noticed that in Ubuntu 18.04 that if I hit F10 to exit, then what happens is it brings up some sort of menu. So if these keys are mapped, you may want to look in here and you can remap the keys. So if you go to Learn Keys right here, it'll tell you what everything is currently mapped to, and you can actually change them. So that's, if you want to get into doing that, you go right ahead, knock yourself out. I'm not going to worry about it because it's mouse driven, and any terminal that I'm running this in that is not mouse driven will not have other things mapped to it, so it doesn't make any difference. So since it's mouse driven, you can just click around like you would with any graphic application, but if you ever run into a situation where you need to run this without mouse support, then you might want to take some time and actually learn what the different keys do. That's entirely up to you. So how do you make this thing work? That's the question. So if we go down here on the right side and we click on something, I want to click on work, and you notice that out of the box it shows you everything that is in your home directory on either pane. So it shows you hidden stuff as well. So if you're looking for configuration files for some reason, this is a great program to work with, because it will show you those different configuration files. So let's go down here and let's go find something to play with. And I'm just going to go into Documents, and then I'm going to go into Scripts, and we're going to grab a couple of scripts here. Now, how do you highlight? Well, on your mouse, you just use your right click, and then it highlights whatever you want. See how the colors are changing there? So I'm highlighting those 3 different files right there. And you can also use the insert key to do that, and that way you can just kind of go down a list. You go, oh, I want that, that, and that, and that. So we have a bunch of files that are highlighted, and we are good to go. So if we want to copy those files, then what we would need to do is come over here and go to the, they're going to go to whatever we have over here. So right now we want it to go to work. But before we do that, how about we come over here and create a directory? So down here we have the Make Directory option. So we'll just do that, and it'll give you some idea of what it looks like. Well, we don't want it to be that. We're actually clicked on that file. So we're going to give it another name. That's the file that we're recording the video to. That's what you're seeing right there. So if I go and let's make a directory and call it junk, and then just hit enter for OK. It now created a directory called junk, and just click in there to go into it. And it says down here that we're in that directory. Now what I want to do is highlight this pane, which is where we were, and we have some highlighted stuff in there. And I'm going to tell it I want to copy that over to the other pane. So when you run a command like copy or move or delete, while you're copying or moving, it's going to try and go over to the other pane, okay? That's a little bit hard to understand. It will confirm, so it's saying you want to move everything that you highlighted, that's the star, and you want to move that over here. And I say, yeah, we're not following links, and we're going to preserve the attributes. We are, dive into a subdirectory if it exists, which means if we highlighted a directory, that would go with it. And stable symlinks, I'm not really sure what that means. I think we just copy the links is what it is. So anyway, it doesn't matter. We got some stuff over here that we highlighted that we can play with. Now, once we are here, so I have the pre-shrink VM program there. And once we're in here, I can go and let's view that. So to view it, you hit F3, and it brings up a little viewer. And you can just look around and look through the file and see what's going on. And then to get out, it's escape twice. The escape key works twice. It's because the first time around it's mapped to the meta key, which is the alternate key. So they have it set up that way. And that's because it's GNU, and GNU is weird, and they do all kinds of stuff like that. So we could view that, and we can also edit it. Now, the very, very first time that you run Midnight Commander and you press this option, it's going to ask you to choose an editor graphically. You just type in a number. I have chosen Nano. It ships with its own little editor, and you'll notice that in your menu you're going to see 2 Midnight Commander icons. So what you're going to get is one of them is for Midnight Commander, and one of them is for the editor that comes from Midnight Commander. I guess they think so much of their editor that they gave it another icon. And you can just, I chose Nano, so there you go. We're not going to look at the editor. You can play around with that if you want to install it. And so we can edit files. Now for normal stuff, like, let's just come back to this side. We use the tab key to highlight and just jump back and forth. And I'm going to go up directory here. And let's just jump into pictures. And we will randomly choose a picture. I don't know what it's a picture of, but I'm just doing this to prove that it will open up a file. So if I double click here, then look, it opens up this lovely file of my basement at a house I moved out of many, many years ago and how dirty it was. So the next picture should be that basement clean. Let's see if that works. Yes, it is. That was the whole point of the picture. You get the idea, right? So it will actually fire off applications to run files just like any other file manager will do. Just double click and it opens things up. Now, in one case, it does get a little confused. Now, it seems there's a package that needs to be installed that will convert ODT documents to the text reader. So if I go here to Documents and we choose an ODT file, any one will do. That's fine. Right here, I have no idea what that is, but we'll open it up anyway. Now, it went ahead and it opened it up here at More Adventures in Medium Fidelity, something I wrote for another Facebook group a long time ago. But if you're doing this in a terminal that doesn't have access to LibreOffice, you may get it complaining that there's not a package installed. I ran across that once. Maybe I installed it. I don't even know. Doesn't matter. Click it and see what happens on your own. You'll figure that out. So anyway, this is basically how this thing works and what it can do. Very basics. Let's go back over here, and what I want to do is we'll actually remove this junk directory because I'm not going to need it and you don't care about it. So let's go ahead and remove that directory, and that is F8, or just click down here. I'm going to click, actually just hit the button, and it says, do you want to remove the directory? And I say yes, and then I say yes again. Just make it go away. Go poof. So there, that's the basic operation of Midnight Commander, and probably as far as you're going to go with it when you play with it. Now, you can also, you can do all kinds of groovy things here. Like you can go in here, let's go into, we can select a group of documents, for instance. So let's go, we're over here, and let's see, I'm trying to remember how to do this myself. Go to yeah, here we go. And we want to select, actually no, it's command. So we want to select a group. Is that what we're doing? File, dummy. File, it's in there. Okay, yeah. Been a long time since I used this, gang. I'm still learning it. So if I want to select a bunch of files, let's say that I want to just select star text. Let's give it that. You can put your wildcard in here. All right, and just hit enter. Now every text file that is in here is selected. So let's go back over here once again, and let's make a directory to play in since we just got rid of junk. So we'll just call this one text and say OK. Now we have a directory over here called text, and then I click over here. And see all those highlighted files? I want to copy all of those files over to that directory called text. So I'm going to go into that directory so it doesn't get confused. Make sure it's highlighted on the right side. And then click copy. And it says, you want to copy all this crap over here? And that's what the star is right there. So I have so much highlighted. And I say, yo, yeah, actually I do. Let's do it. Boom. So it does it. And of course, since they're text files, they're dinky and it didn't take any time at all. But if you were copying big files, so that's how you would move large chunks of files around and do stuff like that. Okay. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, this is really groovy and I like the fact that it runs in a terminal and all that, but why would I want to use something like this over something like, Nemo in Linux Mint or Nautilus or Thunar or any of the other file managers out there? Because this one works in terminals over a network, and it will also work in terminals that do not have any kind of X support or mouse support, which means that you can run this in a TTY, or if you have a machine that you are maintaining over a network, then you can use this to transfer files and work on another machine through SSH. So let's do it. Let's actually go get a file and play with it. So let's go into another machine on my network, Dell 13. I am there, and we'll open MC on that machine. And then I'm going to make this a little bigger so it's easier for everybody to see, including me. And I go in here like this, and I have a file that's sitting on the home directory here called Note. So now I'm going to use the F2 option, which opens up this menu, which gives me all kinds of advanced things that I can do with files. So what I want to do is copy the file to a remote host. Now, there's plenty of other ways to do this. You could use the scp command. You could use sftp, which is what I'm most used to doing, and I probably will continue to do so. But it's neat that the functionality is in this program. So we open up this, and it asks me, it says, what host do I want to go to? Well, on my network, I use IP addresses because I do not have a host name server running. So I want to go to this host, and it asks me what directory I want to put it into. And I say, I want to put it in work. Okay, that's where it's going to go. All right, and it's going to ask me if I really want to do this because I actually reinstalled the operating system on one of these machines, and the SSH keys got a little confused, so I had to reset that. So that's why it's asking. If your SSH keys are not, unconfirmed, then it'll go right through. It went through. I actually saw it go blip. So now if I come over here, and we'll jump over here, and this is the home directory back over here. Right, so I want to go to Joe, and I want to go to work. Work. It's listing everything backwards. Yeah. Actually, no, I don't want to list everything backwards. Can we do it the other way? There's our, there's what we sent over. And if I double click on it, LibreOffice opens up, and now we can read it that this is a note that I wrote to excuse my son because he was sick and he stayed home the other day. So there you go. That's how that works. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? This is a great program, and in this video I have showed you very little of actually what it does. There is so much to it. Fortunately, there's really, really good documentation. Even just opening up a terminal and typing in man MC will give you more documentation of what this thing can actually do. There's one more function that I do want to show you, which I find absolutely amazing. You may have noticed down here that we have this lovely prompt, and it's changing with what we do. Well, we can use that to our advantage. So let's say we need to get back to the home directory here. I just type in CD. Now we're sending commands directly to the program, so now we can go to different directories if we want to and do it manually. So if it's actually easier for you to navigate this way, just change the focus and then put the command down in there, and there you go. So let's just go back here, CD, and also you can run commands from here. You can launch other programs. So for instance, let's launch htop. So it's actually doing a shell function. So here's htop running on this computer right now. When I get out of htop, bam, it goes back to this program. The only downside to using this prompt to actually do anything really complicated is it will not autofill. So for instance, if I wanted to be really sexy and I wanted to go, okay, I want to go to documents and then use my, see, it doesn't work. It just keeps switching the, so that doesn't work. So let's try that again just to make sure. CD documents. So I just put in DOC right there. Actually, I put in DCO. DOC. And see, it doesn't do it. So it has to be literal. So in that case, you would use the, you would actually do with it what you were really opening it to do anyway, and just do it graphically or manually by clicking into things. So actually, I don't see why this is listing itself backwards. There we go. Thank you. So if you click on name, it actually has that different functionality. So let's see, we want to go into documents just because we were doing an example, and then we have a whole bunch of stuff, and we go into scripts here. Another interesting thing that it will do before I wrap this up is that it will actually open up a zip file or a tar.gz file and let you see in it just like it's another directory. So you don't have to open up Archive Manager. So let's take a look at the pdisks master zip here. It came down from GitHub. Look at this. I'm looking at the files. Now if I want to read the file, I can view it, So there's the license. And yes, that is a program by Jeremy O'Connell. Escape twice to get out. Or I can edit with F4, and it opens it up in Nano, and I can edit the file, and even out of a, I guess maybe if you tried to edit the file, I wonder if it would save it where it went. That's an interesting thing. So let's just add one letter. So I put an A in there. Oh no, it's in a no, it did it. Okay, let's see what happens. Control O. Yeah, it doesn't. I'd have to save it elsewhere, but I could save it from there. I was wondering if it would actually save it back into the zip file, but it doesn't seem to work that way. So let me out. Let me out. Canceled. No, I don't want to save anything. There we go, and we get back to it. So you can run all kinds of stuff from this little command prompt down here. Even like if you're sitting here and you're working on something and you go, you can run commands that you wouldn't think you'd be able to run. Like for instance, I have my up script, which updates the system. Well, I don't know what you're, oh, that's right, I got to get out of here. So just go CD. All right, now do it. See what happens. There you go. So it actually ran my update program. Go ahead and run it through. And now this is actually going to go out and update my Linux Mint box. And it's doing it while it's running within the Midnight Commander. So it just opens up another shell, and as soon as it's done, it dumps me out. Of course, now that's really useful for programs that sort of kind of want to stay open. So let's do XBT, just to give you one more example of that, which is if I open XBT, it opens the front page of XBT. And I'm going to go ahead and exit. I don't even have a drive plugged in. Boom, right back to Midnight Commander. Isn't that awesome? And to get out of Midnight Commander, you can just click exit down here. Or you can open up the file menu here, and there's an exit there. And there you go. I think I covered everything I wanted to tell you about that. Very cool program. Check it out for yourself. I love doing videos like this. This is just stuff that's useful. And if I missed something or screwed something up, sorry about that, Midnight Commander fans. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. It's down there in the comments. Also, be sure to check out EzeeLinux on Facebook. Check out EzeeLinux on the web at EzeeLinux.com. And also check out FreedomPenguin.com for lots of really cool stories and videos and other types of content about Linux from contributors such as myself. We will do it again soon. Thank you for watching.